What's up, guys? Welcome back to Masters of the Universe. Happy December 2nd. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Wherever you are, wherever you celebrate. Welcome back to my home. So today, again, we're taking a break from the griddle. It is currently like 40-some degrees outside. It's a little cold out there. So we're going to start making some holiday cookies. Today, we're making Snickerdoodle cookies. This is something that my wife and I have been wanting to make for a while, just never really got around to it. So, first thing you're going to need is 3 cups of flour, and then 2 teaspoons of cream of tartar, and 3/4 teaspoons of baking soda. Not the baking powder, baking soda. So you'd also need a tablespoon of salt. However, I am omitting the salt because I am using salted butter instead of unsalted butter. So you're gonna want to take your cream of tartar and your baking soda, add it in with your 3 cups of flour, and we're just gonna give that a little whisk. Make sure everyone's happy and everyone is in the party. So we're gonna set that off to the side. Next, we're gonna need a bowl and your electric hand mixer. You can use a stand mixer here if you want. I'm just gonna use the hand mixer because it's just gonna be easier to get all the stuff off the sides. So now that we have our stand mixer, we're gonna add 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter. Again, if you're using salted butter, do not add the salt into the dry ingredients. Go ahead and omit that. If you're using unsalted butter, then you are going to want to make sure that you have the salt in your dry mixture. To this, we are going to add 1 1/4 cup of sugar. So just going to put that in there. Now we're just going to beat this on medium to high heat until everything is nice and creamy. So to make this a little easier to cream, you do want to make sure that your butter is room temperature. Otherwise, you're not going to really get that creamy effect. So you see here, everything's coming together nice and creamy, nice and fluffy. So you're going to mix that for at least a minute or two, and that's kind of the consistency of the butter sugar mixture that we are looking for. So to this, we're going to be adding 2 eggs. You want to add these 1 at a time. And if you have issues with eggshells getting into your eggs as you're cracking them, you can crack them in a separate bowl, and that way you can inspect them. So let's beat this on low speed. So it's nice and fully incorporated. You can see everything's nice and fully incorporated. Now, in between the eggs is a good time to go ahead and scrape down the sides. You want to make sure all of that butter and all of that sugar join the party. So let's go ahead and add our second egg. And again, give it a nice little mix. Okay. So after you have your eggs mixed in, you just want to come through with a little bit of vanilla. Recipe calls for a teaspoon. Measure with your heart. And I'm just going to give that a quick little mix as well. Right now, this should be the consistency that we're looking for. A nice runny batter. Once you get all of your wet ingredients incorporated, and fun fact, sugar is actually considered a wet ingredient because it can melt down into a liquid. So if you're reading a recipe and it says add your dry ingredients to your wet ingredients, just know that the sugar is supposed to be in the wet. So once we get all that nice and mixed, we're going to go ahead and add our dry ingredients, which is just the flour, the cream of tartar, and the baking soda. Make sure everyone's in the party. And then we're just going to put this on a on low speed, and we're just mixing until everything is combined. You don't want to over mix this, obviously, but you do want to make sure that everything is combined. Make sure you get all of the dry ingredients incorporated into the wet ingredients. So this is kind of how we are looking right now. I'm just going to come through. I'm going to scrape down the sides of the bowl again. I'm also going to try and get up underneath the batter, just in case there are any dry ingredients that might be hiding under there. Let's give this one more quick mix. Oh yeah, we're good, and my mixer is really having it. So for me, I like to lift my mixer up out of the batter just a little bit where it's still below the bowl. Try and spin off as much of that excess batter that's stuck on the beaters as possible. All right, so sorry, my dogs are making funny noises. So now what we're going to do is we are going to put this in the refrigerator for about an hour. Really let everything in this batter kind of come together to be one giant big happy family. So like I said, I'm going to pop this in the fridge for an hour, and I see y'all back in a little bit.
1 hour later.
All right, guys, so it's been about an hour. Hi, baby. So dough has sat in the refrigerator for the last hour. Now what we're going to need to do is a 1/4 cup of sugar with 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Get yourself a medium size. Did you say medium size? Yeah, medium size cookie scoop. Well, that's about 2 tablespoons. Get you some dough, roll it in a circle, and you want to roll it in the cinnamon sugar. And place this on a parchment lined baking sheet. Now make sure you have your oven set to 350 degrees. Mine is preheating right now. So what you're gonna do is just continue that with all of the dough. My wife just got break for work and she let the dogs out. Yeah, finally answered that age-old question, who let the dogs out? It was my wife. Dogs are out there being a menace to society. One dog's blind, the other dog is sweet as can be, but if one barks, then the little one who's blind thinks that she needs to bark at. Usually it's the fence. It's all good. All right, so we're going to go ahead and continue these with as much dough balls that can fit on the 2 baking sheets, and I'll catch y'all back just a little bit. All right, guys, so as you see here, got the cookies on a parchment lined baking sheet. My baking sheets are a little small, so I can only fit 9 or so in each one. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna put these in the oven. You're gonna put one of them on top and one of them on the bottom. Leave a little bit of space on the top and the bottom of the oven where you put your racks. And then halfway through the cook, you're gonna flip them. So we're gonna throw these in the 350 degree oven for 10 to 12 minutes, rotating halfway through, or until the edges are set and the cookies are puffed. So I'll bring it back when I get ready to pull these out of the oven, guys. All right, guys, so these have been in the oven for 15 seconds shy of 12 minutes. We're fixing to pull them out. Like I said, you want to alternate one on the top rack, one on the bottom rack, cook them half the time, and then flip it, or change the pans. And then once this timer goes off, we're gonna pull them out. Oh, those look amazing, and they smell terrific. So, like the recipe down below says, you want these to come out when the edges are set. Edges are nice and crisp, and they're nice and fluffy. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna let these sit on the pan for 5 minutes before we transfer them over to a wire rack, let them fully cool. What this is going to do is this is going to continue to let them cook on the inside and also flatten them out a little bit, I think. That's what we're going to do now. We're going to let these things set for 5 minutes, transfer them over. And if you have any batter left like I do, go ahead, once you transfer these onto the cooling rack, go ahead and finish up your batter. Again, take your cookie scoop, make you a ball, roll it in the powdered sugar, pop them on here, 10 to 12 minutes in the oven, rotate the pans halfway through. I'll see you in a few minutes, guys. Alright, so these have been sitting for about 5 minutes, so we'll go ahead now and transfer them onto the wire rack. Recipe says you have to let these sit and cool completely, but if you're anything like me, I am not a sit and cool kind of person. I'm going to have one of these here in just a few minutes once I can get them all off the rack. So depending on how you rolled your dough out, obviously you can have some bigger ones, you can have some smaller ones. Smaller ones are fine. We can give the smaller ones to the kids. This one here would be perfect to give to one of the kids. This one, this is the one she told you not to worry about back in high school. And that's it, guys. Those are our Snickerdoodle cookies. You know what? Let's go ahead and let's give one a try. Absolutely delicious. Edges are nice and crunchy. The inside's nice and fluffy. The cinnamon flavor is just incredible. Delicious, delicious cookie. So there you are, guys. Snickerdoodle cookies. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good fun stuff. Recipes down below. Also, in the comments, let me know what's your favorite cookie to use to make this time of year. Mine is traditional cutout cookie. We're going to do those with the kids. We are going to have a video of that done here in a week or so. So again, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the good fun stuff. Make those YouTube gods happy. Catch you next time.